everyone. This is Dr. Sarah Langley, and I'm your host of May's Mental Health Month, Overcoming During and After the Pandemic. And I thank you so much for your time. I thank you so much for your patience. And I thank you for being you, just joining into this conversation. So I really wanted to go ahead and continue on with this conversation of making sure that you are mentally healthy and holistically whole. I have a great panel, and I'm so excited that they said yes to the call and being able to now lend their expertise, their skill, their heart, and helping you to know how to overcome now and after regarding this pandemic, because it really has taken us all for a turn, right? And we didn't see it coming. We didn't know this was going to happen. And it really has impacted us, mind, body, and spirit. This is why we are having this conversation. That's why we're joining together, so that we can know how to prepare, how to plan, how to pivot, so that now, as we prepare with the economy at this time of this recording is opening up, what do we do, especially when it may not be what we are used to seeing or being a part of. This is nothing compared to what we have completed, because what we've known is no more. And it's understandable that you may be at a place where you're lamenting, you're grieving. It's a loss. And we have to appropriately grieve. And at the same time, once we have had our moment in our time to grieve over what has ended or completed, so to speak, is now for us to get together, to plan, to pivot, and to prepare for what is to come. So that said, I want to bring on my panelists, and I'm going to put this out there. I thank you for your time and your patience, and I hope that this has been helpful for you. Please put it in the comment section. Has this been helpful for you? What recommendations, what suggestions do you have in regards to what other conversations or topics can we come up with that it would be of most interest and benefit to you? We want to make sure that we're attending to you and your needs, so that you will know how to apply the information that is necessary, that's important for you and for your family, for your loved ones, so that you can appropriately prepare into or after the pandemic, as we go into, this new normal that we talked about creating. See, it's a matter of now being able to create your reality, as opposed to waiting for others to continually create it for you. I'm just going to let this go ahead and live stream, while I will now start bringing on everyone, and I will let you know who they are. And I'm so excited about this. I'm so excited because I just feel like, sharing is caring. And there's no way that we can sit here and have, as therapists on our end, there's no way that we can sit back, and we're not. That doesn't mean that we are sitting back at all. It's just the fact that I know for me, I just couldn't not do this. I couldn't just wait for you to come to see me and I help you out with whatever is going on for you. I felt that this is the opportunity to now use this type of platform to help bring in the information and then to dispatch it accordingly by everyone having a chance to benefit this. So I'm just so grateful and thankful for you taking the time, because your time is precious. You could be on any live stream right now, but I thank you for being on this one. So let me go ahead and continue to bring everybody on. Let me go ahead and make everyone co-host, and let's start the conversation. And I hope that on the back end, for those who are looking to, start their own business, that if you ever decide that you want to do something like this, like running your own business, or you want to run your own webinar, that you notice all the back end, because it's one thing to look great. It always look great in front, but it's another when it's the back end. So just want to encourage you and be encouraged that if you have something to say, then please use this opportunity to say it. Use a platform like these webinars to say what is on your heart, to raise your voice. This is your opportunity, because as I've been encouraging you through the amazing speakers that I've had and the ones that are happening today and after this, we are encouraging you that you do have, your voice matters, that you do have something to say, And you'll be surprised that if you use this opportunity just to sit, to discern, to reflect, to connect and be in alignment with who you are and who you're called to be, to get to know who you are a little bit more than what you've known. And you'll be surprised at what you actually do bring to the table. You think that by comparison, that perhaps, oh, you couldn't do it like Dr. Sarah, or you can't, do the things that you have seen other people do. But it's not about you doing it like we do. It's doing it like you do. And it's just a matter of just being encouraged and using this time during this pandemic, to now simply decide, what is it that you want to bring to the table? And I will encourage you that your voice absolutely matters. You do have something to say. Use these platforms such as these to now raise your voice, especially now, because everyone is home. You have an audience now to hear you. So I want to go ahead and introduce everyone. And let's go ahead, and I'm going to introduce every single person. And again, thank you everyone for your time. I'm talking to you panelists. I thank you so much for you answering the call and saying yes to this opportunity to have a conversation about how do we overcome during and after the pandemic. I want to introduce everyone introduce you to Marvin Meriwether. He's a licensed clinical social worker, licensed clinical social worker of Be Strong Mental Health and Therapeutic Services located in Springfield, Illinois. Then we have Lisa Sutton-Williams, who is a licensed clinical social worker and licensed marriage and family therapist, certified intuitive eating counselor at Intentional Connections Counseling in Louisville, Kentucky. We have Jason Phillips, who is a licensed clinical social worker and certified life coach from Raleigh, North Carolina. And we have Erin Mitchell, who is a licensed professional counselor and certified counselor supervisor at the state of Georgia, and she is nationally certified as a counselor and a Prepared Rich certified facilitator. Everyone, thank you so much for your time and joining in this conversation about how in the world do we overcome during and after this pandemic. So please, y'all can join me. You can go ahead and y'all can unmute your phones, your cameras. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for your time and joining me in this conversation. How are you all doing?
Good afternoon. Doing well.
Good.
Yeah, not bad at all. How are you all?
Awesome.
Good.
All right. Hey, Jason, how you doing?
Hey, I'm trying to start my video. I'm good. How are you?
All right. Take your time, sir. Take your time. All right. So here is what I want to ask everyone. So how has it been? And everyone can join in on this. I'll speak for me. I feel like we are the silent frontliners, like the ones who are really catching people on the back end. You have the great healthcare providers, the doctors, the nurses, who are really helping out concerning patients who are coming in and now knowing that they have caught the virus, right? And then you have people who are not going in, who do not need to see a doctor, but they need to see a mental health professional because mentally it really has impacted them. And of course, if it impacted their mindset, it impacts everything else, mind, body, and spirit. And I don't know, a real conversation, a real talk, it seemingly has been overwhelming, especially with now, like for some of us, it's been overwhelming in terms of getting a amount of clients. And for some, we have yet to even garner any clients because you still have people who consider this as a stigma with mental health and all that. But I wanted to ask, anyone can chime in, how has this been, with this whole pandemic going in? No one saw this coming, but yet the way that people have been reacting and managing through, what has been your experience? That can be anyone can join in. Who would like to answer that first?
I'll go. For me, it's been quite overwhelming, just in general for myself, but also as well for my clients. My practice base is mainly anxiety and depression. So with this pandemic, when it started, all of my clients that have anxiety and depression were significantly overwhelmed and a lot of their symptoms increased. So we had to do some additional resourcing just to let them remember, like, hey, you've been through similar things before, maybe not this pandemic, but you've been through, anxiety producing things before, and just, kind of reiterating to them, like, you have the skills, we can do this and we will do this together. So, but it's been a little overwhelming, just on all fronts, but knowing that I'm able to be there for my clients has been, I think that has helped me more, knowing that I've been able to be there for other people. But again, like you said, we are kind of the silent group of the frontline workers. And we will continue to get this as the pandemic kind of shifts and fades, if you will. There will be another surge for us, for people coming out of this and then realizing what they have been through. So yeah, that's what I have to say.
Excellent point. How about for you, Marvin? Any comments to that?
Yeah, I completely agree. I've also known that any mental health problems that I've seen within my clients, this kind of accelerated everything that they were going through.
Right.
On top of adding the things that they have to change and they have to kind of mold their lives into now. The anxiety, the depression, everything just kind of taken off now. So just trying to get them to understand or figure out how to navigate the system on top of the new system that's been introduced to them has been really challenging.
Yes. Thank you for that. And how about for you, Erin? How's it been?
I would second, third, all of that. It's been extremely overwhelming. And what I found is for a lot of my clients, they weren't able to pinpoint what it was that they were feeling. And for a lot of them, it was grief. I mean, they were grieving the loss of the life that they had become accustomed to, just the rapid change, having to be so many people when they were just able to be, okay, here, it's more compartmentalized. I'm able to be work, I'm able to be at home. I can, separate the things, but to have them all combined, it just was extremely overwhelming and stressful for people, and giving them an opportunity to kind of figure out how to set those boundaries and then carve out space just for themselves to be okay. It was really challenging.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that, Erin. And for you, Jason, welcome.
Hey, thank you. Welcome. Hey, everybody. I've just noticed that a lot of us are struggling, introverts and extroverts. This pandemic has not, just hit one group of people. So I think that the more that we can support each other and relate to what we're all going through, the better off we'll be in the future.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone, for sharing that. All right, because I needed some time to go ahead and pull up some information. So, so here we are having this conversation. And as you said, and everyone, thank you for your time again for joining into this conversation. If you have any questions for any of the panelists, please feel free to put in the comment section. I'll be able to check that so we can go ahead and answer your questions and address them accordingly. So, all right, I know that, and I've noticed that the theme pretty much in all of you in some form or fashion also not only attend to the mentality, but also to the physical, the physical aspect. And I really wanted to give you that opportunity to share, because a lot of times I found from a holistic perspective that we tend to attend to one of three elements of ourselves. And I always tell my clients, and on any platform that I'm on, that we are comprised of three: mind, body, and spirit. And we can attend to one, but if the other two or two out of the three are only attended to and not all three, then we're not a whole self. And then it's temporary. We try to address everything from a behavioral standpoint, and we're okay with the temporary fixes, but then we're upset that it didn't last long. And I know that from the physical aspect, which if that is the case, we have to meet people where they are. If all they know is to fix it from a temporary standpoint, just to give them a sense of relief, okay, this is why you're here, and why I want to ask you all in regards to what has been your I guess your experience when you have someone who is challenged with such as this, the pandemic, and it's impacting them mentally, but they don't realize it. They see it from a physical standpoint, how they are, they're not eating, or they're eating too much, or they're not exercising enough, or I'm sure there's more to that, because again, that's not my skill set like it is for you all. So you can enlighten us, enlighten me. I'm a counselor, so I have my notepad as well and pen. So I'm going to sit back and take notes and be a good student and learn from you all in regards to what else do we need to know that we can help the audience to understand. How do they help themselves out or help themselves through during this time? So please, I'd like to start with you, Marvin, in regards to, it seems like for you are comfortable in discussing how the virus has affected our community, right, due to the comorbidities such as diabetes, heart disease, kidney disease, and you look to encourage others on how to move forward. Please tell me more about that, or tell us more about that.
Yeah, okay. I started my private practice focused on kind of hoping to change the mindset of physical health, physical fitness, and how those things play a role in our overall quality of life. And just like you mentioned, the pandemic has caused us to feel vulnerable and lose some of those coping skills that we've put in place in the past, which is, we love to go shopping, we love to get our hair done and our nails done, but, those aren't things that are necessarily accessible right now. So with working with clients at Be Strong, the goal is to put in place sustainable lifestyle changes and help change the mindset and put things in place that you can do regardless if you have access to tangible things. And that's partly making sure that you're physically fit, that you're monitoring your diet, that you're doing emotional check-ins to see where you are, how you feel in that moment in order to understand, where you have to go or where you can go. So the comorbidities, look, we know for a fact that our community has historically faced systemic problems as far as access to food, mistrust or mistreatment by the healthcare system. So we understand that the comorbid problems that are making our community more vulnerable. We understand how we got here. But moving forward as clinicians, I think it's important, just like you mentioned, that in order to kind of grow and move forward or past this, we have to put in sustainable things. We have to make an effort to introduce those coping skills and help people understand and provide the education to connect the physical and the mental and the spiritual piece. So with CrossFit, we have like a spectrum or almost a bell-shaped curve where it's a sickness and a wellness continuum kind of thing. If you have a high blood pressure, you fall on this side of the spectrum, which is closer towards being sick. If you have a blood pressure in this range, it would be closer towards wellness. And I encourage people to kind of also put psychosocial things on that spectrum as well. As far as if you, Beck depression screening, if you fall in this range with your depression levels, then maybe we need to look at the psychosocial aspects of things that are affecting the depression, the anxiety, and all those things associated with that in order to put interventions in place to be sustainable or to kind of move forward past the struggles that the comorbid problems that we're experiencing now during this pandemic.
Okay. So you mean to tell me that I can't get my nails done? Like you're telling me that I need to stay home, shelter in place when I need my nails? Like I'm really seriously showing how my nails are. And when I find that that's important to me, now listen up. I find that if that is important to me to look good, right? And that's what I've known. And yeah, a lot of my friends I don't know really anybody in my neighborhood who really has it. I think that people are just making it, big thing, a big deal. I'm tired of staying indoors. So what am I supposed to do about that? I mean, yeah, I may have I know that my family I know that my mom, my grandmom and all of them had diabetes or they had some other illness, but I don't think I have it. I have yet to check. But, what does that mean? Like, I still want to look good. I want to hang out with my friends. So you're telling me what I need to do?
In this time right now, I think, granted, we can't go out, we can't, it's a higher risk to go out and do these things. Then I feel like we should almost shift the mindset to you doing those things with your family, because that would add more value to the experience. It would add the relationship component. It would also add, like the trauma and things like that you're building with your family, and that's a sustainable thing that you can do moving forward, as opposed to necessarily going out and getting those things done.
Okay. Now I'm just playing devil's advocate, but more so I'm doing this is not a hot seat, everyone. So I'm going to hey, let me get up on my notes. Let me make sure I got everything together. What I'm doing is I'm really now, for whatever reason, I just channeled what other people, from having done this for a couple of weeks now with the webinars and getting the feedback. This is the pushback that people are giving. Another pushback that I've noticed is, well, like I said, they're saying that it's not happening to me. It didn't happen to anyone that I know in my circle. So perhaps it won't happen to me. And I'm ready to go outside. It's warm outside. It's beautiful outside. Why do I have to keep staying inside? And yet you know, I just can't deal with this anymore. I want the sunlight. I want to have fun. This is the mentality that we as clinicians are facing when someone is coming to us, if they come to us. This is the way that we're going to them. This is why we're having this platform, to help them to know, you know what, that it is okay to see us, and to also now become informed and aware of what the real deal is, beyond the fact that they just can't sit still and shelter in place anymore, or beyond the fact that they want to look good. I mean, where are you going? But now you want to look good because it's what you know, but it's at your expense. And please don't let me go there, because I know I have the rest of you, so I'm going to try to calm down, because at the same time, it is so in disproportion, right? It's just so, when it comes to people of color and the numbers in regards to COVID-19 and the numbers of fatalities, you know, fatalities pretty much, you know, the victims, because of the fact that the pre-existing conditions that we did not consider, by which I just had someone on earlier, Kelly Beard, who shared her testimony. She actually contracted the virus. She ended up having it, but she beat it. And she was talking about how the fact that for people of color, how if you have a pre-existing condition, that the virus feeds off of that, and it just makes it worse for you, that the likelihood of you surviving it is slim. So it's like we need to now really speak their language and help them to know that beyond looking good or hanging out with your friends, and yeah, no one that you know has it, but that doesn't negate you, that doesn't count you out. So that's why I did that. So no worries. Yes, Erin, I'll have to come to you. Go ahead.
So for me, this whole thing, the crux of this thing is that we're all connected. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've gotten from this. So for you to think that you haven't gotten it or you don't know anyone who's gotten this whole thing started thousands and thousands of miles away from us. And it quickly came to the United States and is now impacting us. So if nothing else is considered, realize that we're not living, you know, in a silo here. We're all connected, and things that you do impact others.
That's good. A great point. If you can share more in terms of, you know, when it comes to setting boundaries and being able to know how to even navigate with this whole social distancing, because this is something that we have to understand and also take into consideration and take it seriously, just like you're saying, because right, this happened somewhere else, but yet now we're here and the numbers are highest here in this country. So please, if you can share or enlighten us a little bit more in regards to that.
So that's something that I think is really critical. A lot of us don't have the assertiveness skills that we think we have. We can be really aggressive and get in people's faces, but a lot of times when you get with family, friends, and they're making choices that you don't necessarily agree with, it's difficult to have those conversations sometimes to say, hey, you know what, these are things that are important to me. I'm going to start putting these boundaries in place. I'm going to start saying no. In this house, we're going to practice social distancing. In this house, you're not going to come in here. We're not having parties, because these things do matter to me. So it's extremely important that people are able to kind of have their voice and use their voice and stand up for the things that matter and are important to them, because when someone is able to do that, it often influences someone else, you know, and it starts to make them think, and that can really affect, as I said, each other, and we can help each other to do better, make better choices.
Okay, so here's my thing, Erin.
Uh-oh.
The fact that all I've known was to connect with people, and I've been surrounded by my hundreds of cousins and my aunties, and I love my aunties cooking. And yeah, you know, I know they said that we should only just do 10 or less, or even then got to the point that you shouldn't have anyone. And I had to wear these masks and wear these gloves, and I can't go to certain places. Or when I do, I have to, you know, it's hot. Did you know that the mask is hot? Do you know that it can be hot after X amount of hours wearing it? And it doesn't really match my eyes or my hairstyle for that day. So you telling me that this whole boundaries and social distancing, again, I have yet to even see it really matter or happen in my neighborhood. Like, I don't see, honestly, when I went to the store the other day, there was a long line because Bob's Crabs, he had some good crabs. When he actually opened up the store, it was a long line, and it was like a family reunion, because I got to see all my friends and family and everything. And I didn't really see anyone wearing a mask, you know, and I have yet to hear anybody got it. So why should we, again, consider even doing all this social distancing or having to protect ourselves and establishing boundaries? Can you help me?
I think it makes sense the way that you feel. I think it's very logical to look around you and just see the people closest to you, but you have to understand that your world is small in comparison to the entire world. You know, there are 7 billion people in the world. And so, you know, the number of people that you know is significantly smaller than that. So it's understandable that you may feel like this is not impacting me, this is not impacting us, but it only takes one to impact your circle. So all of the people who've had parties, and there've been several examples across the United States, even people who made the right decisions, who wore the masks, who did the things that they were asked to do, did the social distancing, et cetera, they still, you know, ended up having large clusters where people were infected and people ended up dying. So I think it really speaks to just your ability to be mature, to make decisions that even though they may not directly impact you at that moment, just you being able to say, you know what, this is not just about me. Again, we're all connected and I have to do some things that may inconvenience me, but that's when I work on my frustration tolerance. That's when I work on being able to just do things that may be a little uncomfortable for me, but knowing that they're in the best interest of myself and everyone else.
So what are your final tips then, Erin, in regards to that? Like, what things do someone have to walk away with to make sure? You already shared it, but if you can just reiterate, like, what are the final pieces that people need to know in being able to protect themselves and to protect others, to consider other people as well in this whole time during and after?
So I would say that this is uncomfortable, and it's uncomfortable for all of us. So it's not an easy thing, and I'm not minimizing that at all, but the chances that you're taking are not worth the risk. So find ways to connect. You know, Zoom call someone, drive by their house, wave and say, hey girl, good to see you, you know, play in your hair, figure out things to do with your time, you know, all the self-care things that you can put in place, because this is a difficult time, and I'm not minimizing that at all, but this is what we have to do right now. So it's up to us to find ways to make it as bearable, as tolerable, and, you know, as beneficial for us as possible.
That's good. Thank you so much. And I'm looking at your plaque behind you, like, you know, we just need to live, laugh, and love. At the end of the day, just live, laugh, and love. But I thank you for sharing that. And I wanted to move on then to Lisa. Lisa, now, I know that your focus has been with helping people with anxiety and depression and creating healthy relationships with food. And look, I have been a snacker, but Lord have mercy, the snacks I've been getting, but they've been healthy. They've been healthy, everybody. I'm not going to tell y'all to do something that I don't do it. So it's been healthy. Now, healthy is relative, but for me, it's been healthy. Now, how do you find then working with people, or what has been your experience with people during this time and with the pandemic in their eating, or how has it negatively impacted them, the choices of eating, or how does food reflect concerning mental health? Can you make it make sense, Lisa? Make it make sense.
Okay. Well, first, I like to tell everyone to give yourself some grace. Like this whole time, everybody is like, well, I need to do this and I need to do this and I need to check this off and check that off. First, give yourself some grace. Everybody is trying to do the very best that they can right now. You don't have to start anything new. You don't have to lose weight. You don't have to get new hair. You don't have to do all these things. Just survive right now. This is something that we've never been through before. So just be okay with that for the time being. So when it comes to like food and things like that, it's really noticing like, what is that giving you? Is that helping you in that moment? Is it giving you energy? Are you feeling better about yourself because of something that you're doing? There are no good and bad foods in my eyes, but I want them to be able to see like, am I eating because I'm hungry, or am I eating because I'm bored? Or am I eating because I'm stressed out? And if you've noticed those things about yourself, what are some of those other ways that you've done previously that you've used to cope that might not be food? It might be, you know, and I like to talk about joyful movement, whether it be some type of exercise program or something, but just joyful movement. It could be dance. It could be going for a walk. And I think Marvin mentioned like doing some of those things with your family. That's the way that you shift that to, well, I don't want to do this, or I can't do my other things. Let's try to do those things with family as well. And I know you mentioned something about, you know, kind of the pushback. Well, I want to do this with my family and I'm used to being around them. I love my aunt's cooking and this and that. That's wonderful. I'm glad you do. And this is another way to shift that. Like, hey, Aunt so-and-so, I love your macaroni and cheese. Let's get on a Zoom call and you help me figure out how to make it like you do. It's just changing your point of view and your frame of reference, because it's going to be a new normal. We're not going back to what we were. I know people like to think, oh, we're just going to go back in a couple of months. No, we're moving to something completely different, and being okay with that and being aware of that.
And I thank you for that. And I love how everybody so far has been, the theme has been just that, being okay, acknowledging and recognizing your feelings. Everyone that's watching this, please understand about knowing who you are and knowing your feelings, knowing how you are reacting and experiencing, using that opportunity actually to your advantage. But first and foremost, it's okay to tell yourself that it's okay. It's okay to talk to yourself. Now, talking back to yourself, that's when you're going to have to see one of us. But in the meantime, we're going to give you grace. Go ahead and talk to yourself. And maybe if you have to talk back to yourself, okay, we're going to give you that reprieve. But please make time to first understand who you are, your emotions, your feelings, telling yourself that it is okay with how you're experiencing or how you're feeling, because this is something totally new, something that perhaps you never experienced before. And giving yourself that grace, that hit me, Lisa, to give yourself that grace because of the fact that you just don't know what you don't know. You don't know how you're going to react. This is like we are grieving. It's like it is a grief and loss experiences that we are having because of what we've known and where we are and to where we're going. So I guess then the question becomes, with this grief and loss, or more so with the anxiety and depression, how it shows up, Lisa. So I have I have someone who had passed away because of this pandemic. And I don't know how to deal with it because I wasn't there by their bedside because the doctor said I can't come in. And now I can't even go and pay my final respects because only X amount of people can only show up for the funeral. So I have to look at this on Zoom. How do I handle that? Like, what am I supposed to do with that? Because I want to comfort my aunties. I want to comfort my friends who have lost their loved ones. And I can, God forbid, I don't want to know what that's like to, if I had anyone who passed away and I can't be by their side or even pay my respects. What am I supposed to do? That raises up such depression and anxiety for me at the same time. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah. Well, first, like you said, you're going to grieve. And that's okay. The grieving part is okay. It just, again, like everything else, it's going to look a little bit different. So if you're sending cards or sending text messages or saying, hey, when this is all over, we will definitely schedule something, like be planful about what it looks like in the future. We are going to do this together. I was wanting to do this before and this stopped us, but I definitely want to get together with you. So be planful about that, but still grieve, because this is very different and it's very challenging for everyone. And I will say this again, like, everybody's doing their best, but I also want everybody to remember, like, do your best every day, but acknowledge that last Friday's best might not be today's best, and that's okay.
That's it. Thank you so much for sharing that. I feel better. How do I connect with you? I'll ask you after. All right, Jason. So,
all right.
Jason, hi, how are you?
Good.
You look nervous. You already know what you're doing. I mean, you have your license. You also are not just a therapist, but a coach as well. So
Yes.
Let me ask you in regards to, you seem to be big on self-care, right? The self-care routine, and also how it also connects in terms of physical health to help to dissipate or to eliminate or to reduce any type of anxiety or depression, by which most people are experiencing, the depression, the anxiety, the fear, the uncertainty, the loneliness. So how does that all tie in terms of self-care with the physical health to help to eliminate or to at least reduce the symptoms that we find people are experiencing?
I would say start off with trying to get some type of routine going. I know a lot of us who are big on self-care and physical health, we have like either workout routines in the morning, before work, or after work. So as much as we can still implement that same routine, whether that's, walking around your neighborhood, riding a bike, having a virtual trainer, doing virtual groups, so you still are connected with people, whatever you can do in that realm will help you now. So yes, we're all struggling with the physical health aspect of it as well as the mental health. But as much as we can do to still have some sense of normalcy and still get those physical endorphins going, I think that's That's where I would start, and be creative with it too, because working out in the gym, it looks different, working out at home and in your living room or in your backyard, but you can still get the job done at the end of the day.
All right, so I'm channeling somebody. Let me see what I'm channeling now. I'm channeling me. So here,
Okay.
I'm a therapist, and let me tell you, you hit it on the money in terms of the whole gym. So I'm a part of this group someone had invited me into, and it's called Be Fit, right? So it's a social. And I tried my best, Jason. I tried my best to hang in there. Now, I'm a beast when it comes to going to Planet Fitness, right? Like I was there religiously, but it kind of, it just hits different when now I'm in the comforts of my home and I'm looking at the TV and I'm looking at the dumbbells, or AKA 2 water bottles, because I don't even have the dumbbells. And I'm like, come on. And I'm trying to stay up. I mean, people are just, I love the encouragement. I love how people keep posting every day about their Fitbit, how many miles they walked and all that. And then it's like on my post, because I really have nothing to say because of the fact that I tried to make it happen. I'm really just asking more about the self-care and the routine, the word routine that you use. I tried to make it happen. But then also, because I'm a therapist, I'm also now, look, it's one thing since we all had a transition to doing telehealth, and I'm on here all day, every day, right, helping people out. And I just don't want to do any more Zooms, connecting with people and family and friends. I'm just done. So how do you help the professionals? Because right now we also talking to many professionals, not so much therapists, but professionals who has to now transition and now get into this routine that you talk about. I wonder the how still, like how when you have these resistances or these apprehensions, how might we get past the resistance and apprehensions,
I would say, we still have to make adjustments. We still have to make a lot of adjustments. So again, even for us therapists, like if we're used to certain schedules and working out at this time, or we're used to taking breaks in between our clients, we still need those breaks. We still need those boundaries put up where we don't hop on all of the Zoom calls that we, are invited to, and give yourself that ability to say no, because maybe at the end of the day, or you just kind of drain. So you still want to get your, your workout regimen going, but you still, at the end of the day, it's still about taking care of yourself, that mind, body, and spirit. So that's going to look different for each of us. When you know what it looks like for you, then you can actually go ahead and implement it.
Okay. All right. I'll take your word for it. And, because it's so traumatic. It's traumatizing, to have to figure out now this new normal. So I want to thank you all for sharing. And this is one more question for you all. You can jump in so we can have this conversation. This is feedback of from some people who are sharing, and see what we can do to help them out. This is real talk here too. And then after that, I'm just going to invite you to let us know how do they connect with you, what you do, and how can you best support them. So real talk in some of the comments has been, the two big issues have been, it didn't happen to me, so why should I do all this? And then the disparity, or more so the disconnect between what we see with the economy. So how the government, the powers that be are like, look, we need to open up because of the economy. We need to save the economy, but it's at the expense. And whose expense is it? Is it at the expense of people who are already making 7-8 figures? Or is it those who are making $40,000 or less? And they perhaps have a pre-existing condition on top of it. And their health is not the best, but they have to put food on the table. They have to figure out how do they still help their family survive. The question becomes how, how is it that we can tell them, and we meaning, people who, because everybody looks at it differently. They may even look at us like it's easy for us to say this to them, being clinicians or doing well, and we're not in their shoes. And one thing that I want to say to you all who are watching is that, hey, nevertheless, we're having this conversation and we're helping you. You have to now, something that my aunt used to tell me is take in the meat and spit out the bones. Take in what is for you and it applies, and discard what doesn't. but you have to make sure that you pick what is relevant for you and not discard what perhaps will be relevant for you now and for later. Because it's not just about you doing it now, but what can you do to make sure that you're prepared for the next, what everyone just shared. So my question to you, panel, is how? You know, like you still have a question mark on top of their head, and you know as therapists that when people come in with question marks, they have to have an answer so that they can know what to do immediately. They have a family to take care of. They have to put food on the table. The government is telling them, look, you don't matter. We need to make this economy work on your backs. What do we tell these individuals, particularly because you all deal with physical health as well, especially those who may perhaps have a pre-existing condition that they got to put that as secondary. They can't even think about that. They got to make money happen for their family. What's your comment, your comments or concerns or suggestions or advice?
I would jump in and just say, just because you can't see the virus doesn't mean it's not real. It's almost like we don't actually see diabetes, or we don't see the effects of some of our physical conditions, but it is real. It's diagnosed. So don't put yourself at risk just because you haven't been personally impacted yet, because you can. So it's okay to still follow the guidelines and know that, hey, I'm doing the right thing, even though you can't tell right now, but months and years later, you'll thank yourself for those decisions today.
I think the biggest thing too, in acknowledging everything that's going on, especially, the clients that have that question of how to move forward, is normalizing that sense of, what's going on, is you're not alone right now. Everybody is going through this. Everybody's failing, everybody's struggling. But in order to kind of move forward and figure out how to get past it, we have to come together as a whole, as a family, as a community, in order to kind of grow and help each other and pull each other by the bootstraps to continue to move forward and get past this.
Absolutely. I was going to say, something similar to Marvin, like we're doing this all together. And on the same vein as Jason mentioned, at the end of this, you want it to look like it was all for naught because there wasn't such a big impact. But that's only with everybody coming together and doing the things that, have been recommended. If you have to go back out there and work, I get that. I understand that you have a family to provide for, but let's do the things that they're telling us to do. If they're saying, hey, wear a mask, because that's helpful, wear a mask. You can still go to work and wear a mask. If you need some other protective measures, do that. Do the things that you feel like you need to do to provide for your family, but be smart about it when you're doing it as well.
I think I would agree with all of that. And I would just add, for the people who do have to go to work, and it does feel very unfair, that we feel that as well. And if there were more we could do, obviously we would want to do that. But to just, lean on your support system, to let those people support you, to talk to them, let them know this was a stressful day, but also to not let fear drive you. You have to do what you have to do the things that need to be done to protect yourself as best you can. But when you stress, when you get anxious, all those things weaken your immune system. So you going in and saying, I'm going to put my faith in a higher power. I'm going to go in, I'm going to do everything I can to protect myself. And I'm just going to live life, because you really don't have any other option. So I think that, that would be really helpful in this situation, because there's not much that we can do except just keep going the best way that we know how.
Amen to that. See, I knew I picked the right panel. Thank you, Lord. So I think that everything that has been shared, so all of you who are watching, that's the answer, okay? You still make it happen. You use your resources, mind, body, and spirit. You still go in smart. You still go in protected. Do what you must do, as opposed to resisting, because at times, because of resistance, that usually seems to get the best of us. It's a matter of making sure that you apply for what works for you and what's going to also keep you safe, because you matter. The biggest thing that I found as a therapist has been two things that really impact most people, if not all of us, in some form or fashion. Feeling that we're undeserving, that, we're not worthy, we're not valuable, we're not important. And then it's supplemented with how the government has been handling the situation, and how, the undertones or even the overtones. What we're really hearing is like, you don't matter. We're going to open up this economy to keep us taken care of by you guys at all means or any means necessary. But look, because of what's real for you in terms of your family and your needs, you do what you need to do. Just make sure that you go about it smart, go about it wise, and the fact that you do matter, okay? You matter. You are important. You are valuable. You are entitled. You are deserving. You have so much worth and value. And another thing is that it's so easy to not do it. You know, it's so easy to stay comfortable. And yeah, you may resist wanting to not go back or to go into this new normal because you want to go back to what was familiar because it was comfortable. And yeah, when it comes to something that's uncertain, when it comes to something that's unfamiliar, yeah, we tend to resist. That's just human nature. However, shift your mindset. That word was the theme across the board, shifting. So that now when you shift your mindset to now create something that you all have heard me before, talking about all you who follow me, it's about creating choice. It's about creating options for yourself so that you don't default to what you know, because what you know is what you know and what you don't know is what you don't know. So let's go ahead and create something called choice so that you can now do something called decide. That's the way that you get your control back as well. Don't focus on what you cannot control, focus on what you can. And that will put you in an advantage to now look at the fact that you have this opportunity, this beautiful opportunity during this time of the pandemic to create your new normal, to create the life that you desire and deserve. Take in the tools and the resources and everything that has been shared by this panel because they took the time to share with you, just as much as you put the time in to come and to be a part of this conversation. But take these tools because that's the only way it's going to work if you work it. So with that said, everyone, thank you. Erin, please, how do they contact you if they want more information or if you have anything that you can offer that you do in your practice that you can, that can be a benefit to everyone?
I'm on social media, EDM, like my name is Erin Dudley Mitchell. So E like Erin, D like David, M like Mitchell, EDM counseling on Facebook and on Instagram. And I do challenges. I'm just kind of starting on social media, so I'm going to do more lives and more events and challenges coming up here. So look forward to more, I guess.
Awesome. Thank you, Erin. And how about for you, Lisa? How do they get in contact with you and how do they, anything that you have to offer that can be a benefit to them?
Absolutely. And similar to Erin, I'm new to social media things, which is fine. We're all doing our best. I'm at my private practice is Intentional Connections Counseling. The website itself is currently being revamped, but you can follow me on Instagram at intentional_connections. That's got all my information there. So feel free to kind of send me a message or whatever, but that's where I'll be. I do most things that are just kind of general mental health based. And intuitive eating based things just about relationships with food and keeping your mind healthy.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lisa. And how about you, Jason?
Yep. I'm on social media, Instagram and Facebook at J Phillips MSW. So that's just my, first name, J Phillips MSW. I go live every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. So feel free to join those conversations. And also, if you have to, you want to reach out to my website, it's pnpcoach.com, and my information is there too.
Right,
thanks, everybody.
Thank you. And how about for you, Marvin? How do they reach out to you? Any offers or services that you offer that can be a benefit to the collective?
My Instagram and Facebook is be strong MH, and my website is bestrongmh.com. Because of all of this, I understand that, we can't go out. We don't necessarily have access to private spaces where we can, we have kids and things like that. So I've actually been pushing a lot of emotional check-ins, mom, dad, brother, sister, anybody, just, hey, call me, let's chat about 30, 45 minutes. I get that therapy might not be a thing for everybody right now, but like you mentioned, you do matter, your feelings matter, and you deserve to be heard right now. So really just reach out, try some emotional check-ins and get those feelings and emotions out there so we can kind of work through this together.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And, I had to use you all because, I was trying to figure out how else can I take the time just to take a break and just let you all kind of, counsel me. No, no, y'all have been amazing. And I thank you so much. And I hope to, work with you again in some form or fashion. Consider me as a resource to you as well. Any final words that you have in terms of, one word of encouragement or one final thing that each of you can share with the collective? They appreciate y'all time. So any encouraging words that you'd like to give before we actually bring this to a close? We'd like to go.
Okay, mine would be, it is not selfish to take care of yourself. It's absolutely the best gift that you can give everyone around you, because when you take care of you, you show up as the best parent, the best friend, the best worker, the best everything.
Excellent.
Mine is still going to be to show yourself some grace and just be kind to yourself. These are challenging times right now, and everybody's going through this together. We're all shifting and transitioning at the same time, doing it together. So just give yourself a little grace as we all go through this together.
I would add, don't give up. I know a lot of us are going through things, and people are at home, and especially if you're home by yourself, it can be depressing and it's kind of uncomfortable, but don't give up. Stick in there and be creative.
And I'll share this after every one of these I do. It's basically success is measured not by the position that we reach, but the obstacles that we overcome. This is just an obstacle. We're going to overcome it. We'll get through it together.
That was my line, Marvin. I always tell them that, you know what, together we stand, together we overcome. See, you biting. I got to do some type of infringement now. No, so everyone, that is the encouragement for you, okay? So you make sure that you now look at what you have, use the tools and the resources that you have, so that now you can know how to overcome during and after the pandemic, so that you are mentally healthy and holistically whole. Everyone, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your time. I really appreciate every single one of you. And everyone, thank you for tuning in. You may